Hello everyone, this is ponderonweather. In this update, we're going to be talking about our next storm system that's going to bring a major snowstorm, ice, severe weather, and tornadoes through the end of the year. Merry Christmas, happy holidays out there everyone. I wanted to do a quick update on Christmas morning to thank each and every one of you out there. I started this channel around 2 years ago, and it's been an amazing journey to accumulate 95,000 followers during that time frame. And we tried to make a push to 100,000 by Christmas, and we fell short. We still added around 4,000 in December. So I greatly appreciate all my new followers out there. I do daily updates. If you hadn't subscribed already, it's free to do so. You can just click on the bell and ring the bell and get my notifications, and you can get all my daily updates. I'm going to do a lot more live coverage going forward, and typically I forecast stuff well in advance, so you got plenty of time to prepare and for ahead of the storm. So let's go over some of the details and what's to come over the coming days. Let's take a look at the overall map this morning around 6:30 this morning. These are kind of the view this morning, and it doesn't look like a kind of a normal Christmas morning for a lot of you guys out there, because we're talking 63 degrees in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That is plenty warm. 66 in Memphis. 46 in Chicago, 54 in Charlotte, 54 in Los Angeles. We do have some snow that's falling in the upper elevations and portions of New England, and we have our winter storm warning that we're going to be talking about that starts at 4 o'clock today, and temperatures are already starting to fall. It's down to 36 in Seattle, but all the Arctic air is well to the north into Calgary, 11 below zero, and Winnipeg, 13 below zero, and that is going to start sinking southward over the next several days to come. So let's talk about the overall winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings that are in place. Right here in this pink shaded area, we've got that winter storm warning that takes effect at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and it goes all the way through 4 a.m. on Monday. And they're expecting 2 to 8 inches of heavy snow right along this in this pink shaded area. And that vorticity is coming inland. It was down to a 988 millibar low pressure system last night, and that is making a beeline out heading towards the east, and that's going to bring a lot of snow in its path. And we've got numerous winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings in our northern areas in North Dakota and portions of Minnesota here, as that cold air starts to drain finally from Canada into the United States. And then there we have our winter weather advisories, where we do have some snow in the portions of New York as well as New England this morning. So, but we also have some ice to deal with. We talked about this yesterday, and there is some ice to deal with on the road. So hopefully you guys are already kind of there and going to be spending time with your family, or really haven't left the house. Typically Christmas isn't like a great travel day, or a lot of people on the roads, but if you do have to travel, definitely be on the lookout in these areas up here into portions of New England. There's some ice on the road that's going to be accumulate over time. As you know, that's very dangerous. You cannot drive on ice, so take all the precautions necessary up in those areas. But man, for the rest of you and much of the country, we've got record warmth. We're talking almost 42 major cities breaking records for Christmas Day. Widespread 80s in Texas. We actually hit 91 degrees in Wichita Falls yesterday, but we're still going to hit portions of Texas 90 degrees here in central Texas. Man, that is just unheard of for Christmas standards. But man, widespread 70 and 80s for much of the southeast, and even all the way up into portions of Illinois into the 60s. That is a lot of warmth. The only cold air in town is where the Arctic air finally is trying to be on the move. And there's that colder area where you've already kind of hit your high temperatures of the day, and portions of, say, like Seattle and Portland, where they're going to be dealing with that winter storm warning on all the snow that's going to be coming in place for them. But there's the snowpack. This is the snow depth currently for Christmas morning. So all these areas right now are going to be technically seeing a white Christmas with where the snow is on the ground, but you can see it's mainly in the higher elevations and kind of well to the north in portions of North Dakota and Minnesota and portions of Wisconsin. They do have some snow that's flying up here into portions of New England this morning, and then here's the actual snow that's going to fall between now and Christmas night around midnight. So you can see that storm that's coming in off the coast, off the west coast, that's going to start to have that changeover off in our lower line areas into places like Portland and Seattle, where they're going to be starting to see that changeover probably sometime in the afternoon hours and start to really kind of elevate as we get into Christmas night tonight. Then that snow will continue to push off further off to the east, and we're going to be laying a pretty good coating into North Dakota as well as Minnesota, and that's where they have the snow this morning into New England. And then here's the rest of you guys seeing some of the precipitation that may fall for your Christmas. We do have some showers. It's going to be impacting portions of the Ohio Valley. And we've got that much needed rain out here in California. I was watching some of the lakes out here as already picked up almost 50 feet has risen since all this has started a month or so ago. So this has just been some welcome rain for a good chunk of California. And I really do feel this just kind of continues before the foreseeable future. So let's kind of extend the view and take you through tomorrow where the snow is going to fall. We still got that winter storm warning in place. We've got that snow where they're expecting 2 to 8 inches in a lot of these areas where they have that winter storm warning. And that's just going to continue to push off further off into the east and eventually going to be getting into North Dakota. And they're going to be starting to get some of that snow starting to break out as we go into Sunday morning. Then as we go into Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, that same system will kind of intensify over North Dakota, over Minnesota, and lay a pretty good swath of 4 to 6, in some areas 6 to 8 inches. And northern Minnesota here, northern Wisconsin, and upper peninsula here. And some of this could actually change over on the southern side in the warm sector with some ice. So you're going to have to be dealing with some ice. It's probably going to be breaking out into portions of northern Iowa here, into portions of central and southern Wisconsin. And this will move on into portions of Michigan, as that's going to be coming in the overnight hours where you're going to be having the coldest time of the day. And you're going to be waking up with treacherous travel in these areas with some icy roads to the south and then snow to the north. And as we extend the view to around the 28th time frame on Tuesday, that warm air just continues to remain in place for a good chunk of the south and the southeast and portions of the Ohio Valley. I mean, plenty of more records to come for you guys. All the cold airs to the north. There's the cold air. These are high temperatures in portions of Montana and to the Dakotas. We're talking 10 below zero for high temperatures. Where you see these little boxes, that is record low maximum. So we're not even expecting to get above freezing by the time we get into Tuesday, into portions off the west coast, like say portions like Portland area, where they could be seeing some of those record low maximum temperatures when all these areas in the square shaded boxes, but even all the way down into Southern California. So all the cold air is pretty much locked over our western states and to our far northern regions. And then very warm air for much of the south and the central 2/3 of the U.S. But finally, some of that cold air will be on the move, and when it does come on the move, that's gonna spell trouble, because all we have to have is some sort of upper level dynamics and a low level jet, and we're gonna be getting that, unfortunately, as we get towards the end of the month. So here's the setup as we look for. On Wednesday morning to the 29th, we see a pretty good vorticity going to be coming out of California, and that is going to be racing across to the east. And we got plenty of warm air that this is going to be able to tap into. And once it taps into that warm sector, that spells trouble, and we could be looking at some more severe weather as we get towards the end of the month. In fact, this is kind of a rarity. 5 days out, the Storm Prediction Center has already highlighted a slight risk for severe weather in and around the Mississippi area and Birmingham area. We kind of talked about and been hinting at this for the last day or two. I was kind of getting concerned of all this trying to really come together, and we're starting to see more confidence of this is starting to come together, and it could be a pretty outbreak as we get towards the end of the month. So unfortunately, I don't feel like we're done for the severe weather, because we've got all that warm sector, and then finally some of that cold air is going to be on the move, and that always spells trouble. That's almost a guarantee that you're probably going to have some sort of severe weather that comes out of that. All it takes is some sort of lift and upper dynamics and rotation in the atmosphere, and you could have a pretty big outbreak. So we'll watch this and kind of fine tune this in the days ahead. So this is what we're looking at currently, what we're going to be dealing with by the time we wake up on the 29th on Wednesday morning. These are low temperatures, folks. I mean, we're talking 70 degrees for a low temperatures at the end of December. So this is the atmosphere that this cold air is going to be tapping into. You see all the Arctic air as well to the north into Canada, widespread below zero temperatures, anywhere from almost 30 degrees below zero temperatures in the Dakotas, and even teens along the coastline here. A lot of single digits, and that finally that cold air is going to be on the move. We actually drop below freezing in Missouri, so you can see the clash in temperatures of upper 60s and then 20s not that far away. So that is the dynamics we're going to be up against as we go into the 29th time frame. And by the time we get into the evening hours, once that low level jet starts to merge and kind of tap into that warm sector, we could be looking at thunderstorms starting to explode in these areas into Mississippi and Alabama. And this is the lightning strikes as we get into the overnight hours. That's about 9 o'clock time frame. And so unfortunately, this looks to be another overnight event by the time we get into that Wednesday, night, going into that Thursday morning time frame, the 30th. So this is what we're concerned about, because look at the upper air dynamics and some of the shear that's going to be taking place over Mississippi and Alabama. That's why the Storm Prediction Center has already highlighted 5 days out a slight risk for severe weather. So typically when that happens, it's almost a certainty that's going to go to probably an enhanced risk, or maybe even greater by the time some of this dynamics comes together. So we'll watch this closely. So all this is it's got plenty of the warm air. That's no question. We just have to see how these systems kind of phase and kind of merge together. But that is the area of concern over the portions of the Dixie Alley area into the southeast as we go into the nighttime hours on that 29th and the morning hours on the 30th for that Thursday time frame. And this is also concerning as is really starting to bullseye of this tornado threat starting to really kind of center over portions of the southeast. And we're talking an 80% probability. Those are very high numbers a possible rotation in the atmosphere and some spin. So that is the concern going forward. And this is actually not that far out. So we're talking the 29th and the 30th time frame, and this is Christmas Day. So we're talking 5 days out now of this potential, 4.5 to 5 days out, because it looks to be an overnight event. And then here's the overall radar setup by the time we get into that that 29th and 30th time frame. We've got numerous showers and thunderstorms to our southeast. I do feel it's not going to get into portions of the Ohio Valley. Much of this over Illinois and Ohio, going into PA and West Virginia. I do feel this is just going to be some heavy rain, if not some flooding rains at times. There's the red line. That's where the freezing line is going to be by the time we get into almost that 30th time frame. Is that finally that cold air continues to try to press. It's going to modify. It's not going to be the Arctic air they're going to be dealing with well to the north and portions of the northwest. it's definitely going to modify, but it's, you know, that's what's going to be bringing the clash in temperatures. So yeah, as we get towards the 30th and the 31st time frame, this system just continues to rapidly move off. This will be the low pressure that's setting up over the northeast, that was over the southeast. And then we have to look for our next storm system as we get towards the first couple of days of January, as we have another dynamic system looking to develop off the west coast here, and that will be pushing as some of the cold air will start to press further southward as well. And if we expand the view, there's the setup by the time we get into that January 3rd. So finally, some of that cold air starts to move into other portions of the US, parts of the south, parts of the southeast. So, I mean, when you have the warm sector, that's where you're going to be getting the severe weather. And then severe weather does not like cold air. So once this cold air, you know, comes in place, that'll kind of wipe out some of the severe weather threat. But between now and then, it could be a bumpy ride into portions of the southeast. And I think a lot of the below average and temperature anomalies just continue to hang on for a good chunk of the west and our northern areas, even into the first week of January. So here's the setup between now and the beginning of the year, with all that rain and all the precipitation off the west coast. And again, once it hits the midsection of the country, Denver, I mean, they're just desperate for rain. They got an inch of rain yesterday in Phoenix. That is just welcome rain for you guys. And that's actually more precipitation in Phoenix just in one day that Denver's actually seen in months. It's Midland is dry, Amarillo is dry. I mean, this whole midsection of the country is just begging for any type of precipitation. And it just keeps on, seems like it keeps missing you guys, unfortunately. But there's the setup as it taps into that warm sector as we get into that 29th, 30th, 31st time frame, with that severe weather threat to our southeast, and then that heavier rain threat for the Ohio Valley. And there's where some of the snow is going to fall between now and the beginning of the year. All that heavy snow off the west coast will push further off east. There's the heavy snow threat that's going to be over the Dakotas, Minnesota, and getting into Wisconsin. And then as the snow will try to bleed through, this is some of the cold air could mix over to some snow. That won't be until the 30th, and about the 30th time frame, into portions of the Ohio Valley. So we'll have to fine tune this as well. But yeah, the snow line has been well to the north because that's where the cold air has been. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely hit the subscribe button and catch me in the next update where I protect you before and after the storm.